Howdy, y'all. This is David Lee Kreitz, once again coming to you from the beautiful Arboretum at the University of California, Davis Arboretum here in Davis, California. A recent tweet came up from Thomas Sowell, one of our great American thinkers of today. And he said, one of the sad signs of our times is that we have demonized those who produce, subsidized those who refuse to produce, and canonized those who complain. That reminded me of a conversation that happened when I was in high school back in the mid 70s. We had gone out to Arizona to celebrate my great grandfather's 100th birthday, and I was kind of a fly on the wall with a number of my relatives, my great uncles and my dad, my great granddad. And in this conversation, as I recall it, my great grandfather gave a saying that today I can only find the first half of, and he's the only place I have ever heard it. His full saying started off with, "Those who can do, those who can't teach." And those are the first two lines of it, and that's really all we ever hear today. And it's usually used by someone who wants to denigrate teachers. You know, that, well, if they could do, they would be doing, otherwise they're teaching. But the full context of his statement went like this: those who can do, those who can't teach. Those who can't teach, supervise. Those who won't, criticize. And here's how he explained it. And I'm going to embellish it a little bit because after years of me thinking about it and pondering on it, and frankly finding no other source material to use to try and get a better understanding, it goes like this. In the guilds, there were those who could do. They were the carpenters, they were the blacksmiths, they were the whatever. You can hear the noise in the background because I am on a campus, sorry. But they were those who could do. They were the young and vibrant ones who could, in fact, do the job. They did the job, they got paid for the job, and they contributed back into the guild for the support of the guild and its members. Those who can do. As age comes upon you and as things work in your life, maybe by accident or by age or whatever, you get to the point where you're not as vigorous and you can't do as much. And so you take on apprentices and you teach them how to become masters at the craft. Those who can do, those who can't teach. You're teaching those who are learning the skills you already have so that they can become masters at the same craft. And again, as time continues, you reach a point where even the rigors of teaching and working with the apprentices and constantly helping them refine their skill is a little more than you can handle. And so you start to supervise those who are teaching other apprentices. And so those who can do, those who can't teach, those who can't teach, supervise. But all along the way, and this was the point he was trying to make, all along the way, there are people who simply drop out of the equation, and all they do is sit around and piss and moan and complain. They won't do. Maybe they can't do. And, frankly, I don't remember which word he used. The word I internalized and the word I use now is won't. And so, therefore, you have those who can do. Those who've reached a point in life where they can't do the rigors of the work, they take on apprentices and teach them to become masters at the craft. Those who can do, those who can't teach. Eventually you start supervising others, and then you have basically reached the master of your guild, of your area. And so those who can do, those who can't teach, those who can't teach, supervise. But as is a human nature, no matter where you are, no matter what group, no matter how you you identify your group. It doesn't matter. There are always those who just won't do what is required, and all they do is sit around and grouse and complain. So the full comment that so often we hear as something used to denigrate teachers is a very incredibly logical progression for all of our history, basically, where in the guilds, those who can do, those who can't teach, those who can't teach supervise, and all along the way, those who won't complain. So now we get back to Thomas Sowell's comment, where he says, one of the sad signs of our times is that we have demonized those who produce, subsidized those who refuse to produce, and canonized those who complain. How incredibly opposite is our society today from the great society, the great generations who have preceded us that gave us the society we have today, where I guess you can afford to subsidize those who refuse to produce anything, and we seem to love elevating and honoring those who do nothing but complain. I think it's time we reestablish the full 4 verses of this. Those who can, do. Those who can't, well, they teach others to do. Those who can't even do that, they can supervise those who are teaching others to do. And then let's just ignore all of those who won't do and just sit around and complain all of the time. This is David Lee Kreitz with Adonai Enterprises, coming to you from the beautiful Arboretum at the UC Davis campus. Y'all have a happy.